Hey everyone, welcome back to Brian's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail. I hope everyone's looking forward to a good new year. Today's case is kind of disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised. We are going to be talking about the disappearance of 4 men that disappeared in Oklahoma. Now, this case has a lot of twists and turns. These men were apparently, after the police investigated them, they were going out to create a crime of some sorts. We do not know what kind of crime this was. This was just based on a witness testimony. This case takes place in Oklahoma in a small county, which I'm going to have maps up as always. This case involves Mark Chastain, who is 32, Billy Chastain, who is 30, Mike Sparks, who was 32, and Alex Stephen, who was only 29. They were reported missing in the early hours of October of this year, 2022. Unfortunately, their remains were then subsequently found in the Deep Fork River in Oklahoma. The 4 friends had supposedly left Bill Chastain's home around 8 p.m. on October 9th. They were all riding bicycles. According to police, that Monday morning press conference also said that investigators believe that the men had planned to commit some sort of crime or criminal act. This was based on a witness statement that they received. This information isn't available as of now. We do not know exactly what happened. Obviously, this is a crazy case. We are still trying to figure out what happened as a whole. On Friday, a passerby reported something suspicious in the water, leading authorities to find human remains. Police then sent investigators, and they found the majority of the remains were dismembered, but they did find evidence that they were shot before this happened. The chief also added that the investigators had not found the men's bicycles. This was all just adding up to a crazy case. The investigators working this case said that they had worked over 80 homicides in their career involving multiple people, and they had never seen anything like this in their lives. Investigators also found evidence of a violent event, supposedly on an adjoining property to a local scrapyard, which was owned by a man named Kennedy. Kennedy had been reported missing since the Saturday night before. He was also being held for grand theft on a motor vehicle in Florida, according to jail records. They did not list the attorney on the case. Now, these investigators were ongoing, and the investigations were also awaiting the cell phone records and video surveillance of the various businesses in the area. All 4 men, like I said, had been shot, and they had been obviously dismembered. They were found in this lake. These are pictures of the vehicles coming up. Police obviously conducting their investigation. This case just had so many twists and turns. Investigators based their belief on the word of these witnesses that these men were planning to commit some kind of crime. However, nothing could be tied together. It was all adding up to witness testimony, and they needed more information. They scavenged the scrapyard. They investigated this man. This is the man, Joe Kennedy, who is subsequently being held on a lot of bail. He's still in jail. Police and investigators are just trying to figure out what happened. Apparently, this man named Kennedy had been suicidal, or at least suicidal thoughts, for the last few months. Basically, all we know is that these men had gone out on a bicycle ride. They had apparently decided to commit some kind of criminal act, which was basically a robbery of some sort. They had thought they were going to rob something, and then all of a sudden they ended up dead. Joe Kennedy, the man pictured before, 67 years old, was arrested in the early hours of Monday in October in Daytona Beach shores while driving a stolen vehicle, according to the police in Oklahoma. Now, he was described as a person of interest. However, they had no physical evidence to tie him to this case. They still said that they were pursuing him as a person of interest. Obviously, this case is ongoing. They're still trying to track down any leads and anybody that has any information. However, what they can't figure out is what happened to these men. They don't even know if Kennedy was actually involved. These men went out on their bicycles, and all of a sudden they just ended up in this riverbed in Okmulgee in Oklahoma. Now, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but you guys have to remember that I get all my pronunciations from the news reporters, so if I pronounce it wrong, it's just because they did, and I apologize for any locals. In any event, this case is still ongoing. This just obviously took place in October of this year, 2022. I'm going to have some pictures up of the actual scrapyard that the police investigated for Mr. Kennedy, the one who is being held in jail. However, the investigators have been very quiet about actually naming him as a suspect, so they're not sure. There's a lot of red tape going on here. This is actually his compound. This is the salvage yard that he owns. These are pictures of the investigation that they did to try and see if they could find any more facts or clues to this investigation. This is an absolutely tragic case. Despite what anybody might believe, it doesn't matter what these men plan to do. It wasn't a violent crime. It was apparently supposedly some kind of robbery. This is actually the pictures of where their remains were found, and as you can see, they were just tossed like garbage into a river in this county, and it's just beyond sad. Again, I'm not saying that what they were going to do was okay, but it doesn't mean that anybody should have the right to do what happened to them is okay. It also begs the question, what happened to these men? They went out on their bicycles, apparently to do some kind of crime. How did they end up miles away, dismembered in this lake, in this riverbed, in Oklahoma? It's just unbelievable, and it's just very scary that these kind of things actually happen here in the United States or anywhere in the world. The four men grew up in Okmulgee County in Oklahoma. Mark and Billy were described as the quintessential brothers. Billy had been working as a handyman. He had 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. He was apparently funny, loving. His brother also worked in an oil field as a rig hand. They were both hardworking young men. Alex Stevens, who was also a part of this, he worked as a nursing home cook, was apparently loved by all. So who knows what happened or how this all went down. Now, 5 days after the men were last seen, the reporters were actually told to the police that a passerby had notified them of this suspicious activity in a shallow stretch of the Deep Fork River southwest of Okmulgee, near a bridge, which authorities found these remains of the 4 missing men, which obviously was devastating to all the family members and everybody who knew them. Despite what they may have intended to do, this was nothing what anybody would deserve. All we really know in this case is that the group has said they left Billy's house around 5:30 p.m. The GPS data from cell phone towers carried by 2 of the men showed that they were traveling east, then south. No video footage has been found, no captured of their movements. No one knows what could have been transpiring during this terrible, terrible tragedy. We do know that at some point 2 of the men invited someone described by authorities as a witness to hit a lick big enough for all of them. The authorities said that this meant that they were doing some kind of crime that would enable them to get enough money for all of them. In an interview, the authorities said they didn't feel right about it. The police have still not found any of the men's bicycles that they were riding at the time. The police also stated that they are disinclined to let the name go of the witnesses or anybody in this case, which I understand. This case is still ongoing. I hope and pray that we will get some answers soon. I will be continuing to cover this case and give you guys updates as they come. This is a tragedy, no matter what you might think. Despite these men possibly be going out to commit a criminal act, they all had good reputations. They all had good families, backgrounds. So it's unclear whether this was true or not as far as their motives or what happened in this case. Despite that, it doesn't matter. These men did not deserve what they got, and it's just a terrible, terrible tragedy. I'd like to dedicate this video to the 4 missing men of Oklahoma. I want to thank you all for watching, as always. Special thank you to co.ag for providing the background music. I will see you all in the next one. Take care. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me to the end. I know these cases can be hard sometimes when the people that are actually have been deceased are suspected of maybe committing a crime, but it's not fair to us to judge preemptively, and we don't know because based on all their history, these were all loving family members. They all had jobs. No one deserves this, is what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm going to continue covering this case, like I said. I hope you all are doing well and looking forward to a great New Year's. I look forward to sharing more videos with you and sharing your responses, everything in the coming 2023. If you have any suggestions for me, as always, I'd love to hear from you. I'll have my information in the description. And I wanted to let you know that I did receive the silver coins, which I'm going to be giving out as a New Year's celebration. So if any of you are interested in this giveaway, all you have to do is send me a comment and I will put your name into the running, and I'm just going to pull them at random. I'm going to pull one male and one female, and I will send you the coins. All you have to do is send me an email to my email address listed in the description. I thank you all for all your wonderful comments, all your feedback, all your letters. You guys are just so great. You make this all worth it, and I thank you.